Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to another episode of Selah. It's a great time, a great week to be back. Just to ponder, to get excited about the word, to get excited about, just the things of God and the things that God wants us to just sit and reflect on. And just to have a moment to be able to reflect with you guys and reflect and share my reflections with you guys. Just a great time. What a wonderful day to be back. Um, Actually, it's snowing pretty bad outside, and we just had a snowstorm. So, kind of in the house, I've been trying to make do with myself because usually I'll go to the gym, get busy, do all these things. But, we had a snowstorm. The work was canceled, school was canceled for kids. Um, it's just that time to just be in the house. So, why not just come and talk to you guys? But welcome all to Selah. This is the podcast Selah. I'm your host, Ishimwe Vestine. I want to thank you all for coming back this week and just to listen and have a pondering session and reflection with me. I just wanted to thank all of those who are returning and welcome all of those who are new. I want to encourage everyone to like, comment, subscribe, share, comment ideas, revelations, comment anything down below as long as it's nice. Don't say nothing your mother wouldn't approve of, okay? And then also just to like, share the link with whoever you feel that it would bless and edify. And then also just press that like button, press that ringer so you can receive notification when new episodes come out. Because why not? And then also subscribe so that you can get access to old episodes and those to come. Because why not? Right? Anywho, without further ado, I just wanted to get into today's episode, into today's pondering session and our reflection session, and just like to pause and really think about something that I kind of was learning this week, and not just learning, but just being reminded of. I think from God, just going through certain things. I think I realized I came more and more into this realization of this topic, as I sat and thought about it, and I sat and I was thinking about it, and also the also just as I was reading, going through my Bible studies this week, and I was thinking about it, and I just felt like I wanted to share and sit and pause with you guys and have a Selah moment with you guys just to share this topic. So before I get in, I wanted to just like say something really quick because it kind of pertains to this, or it does pertain to this because it's what this topic had me thinking about as I was thinking about it. And back when I was younger, I don't want to say younger like a baby or like 7 years old, but I was like in high school, I believe. And I think this is a couple years or so after I got baptized for the first time. And I was involved in youth groups. I used to go to church with my mom, and I was, I had friends that was Christian, and I had friends who weren't Christian. And I went to this church. I went to this school, this high school that was public school. It was pretty. It was pretty. It was in the hood. Um. Yeah. I feel like that's enough to say about the school. It was in the hood. It was a lot of little kids doing grown folk things, right? A lot of little kids doing grown folk things. And so back when I was younger, I used to, at least around this time of my life, I used to get so jealous when I would see people who aren't in the faith or who don't believe in God or who completely reject God looking like they living it up. I used to be like, dang, like, and I used to get so jealous and envious of them just watching them. They got all the new shoes, they got all the new bags, they got all the stylish things. Their parents are buying them whatever they had. Back at this time, you just hear kids talking about, oh yeah, I got my allowance this week, and I'll just be looking at them like, allowance. What is an allowance? And how do I get one? At first, I thought it was because I was African, and our parents don't play that. At least my parents do. I don't know who parent. If your parents, congratulations. But my parents, they don't do no such thing. Okay, you don't wash the dishes and get $10. That's ridiculous, right? And so these kids, they will always come, and you just like, you're in school, you're in class, and they're like, oh, for Christmas or for my birthday, I got this and I didn't start receiving gift on Christmas To this day, I don't. Honestly, if I'm being honest, the first time we did Christmas like gifts in my family was when I planned a Secret Santa thing. Like a year ago, it was like, okay, we don't do gifts, so let's do like a Secret Santa, like where have to buy something at least more than $20 or something like that. And it was like that was the first time we were giving gifts, and I think that's the first time I received something for Christmas. And so like back as a kid, these kids would come after Christmas like break, they'll be like, oh yeah, I got this and I got that and I got this. And I'm like, God, I used to always revert back to like, God, like why is everybody who don't even believe in you, how are they receiving all these things? They reject you, they receive all these things and all these blessings and all of these things from you, and you're blessing them and their lives look so great. And I think um I got to the point, at least when I was growing up, near like end of high school. So right now I'm like 17 years old. And I'm not only just looking at the people around me, I'm looking at celebrities and people on Instagram and people who's just living it up, and I'm just like, dang, like they got the good cars, they got the nice, the real nice relationships, and they traveling the world at 20 something years old. They're doing this and they're doing that. And I'm just like, God, like they don't even know you. They don't even believe in you. They openly reject you. And you're just blessing them upon blessings and favor upon favor. I'm just like, dang. And so I started making that an excuse to kind of do bad, because I'm like, oh, okay, they're not living the best life and God still blesses them and they're fine. So why can't I? And so I started making that an excuse a little bit when I was like maybe end of like my teen years, and I would just do whatever. I'll kind of get into whatever because it was like, all these people are getting away with this, so why not, God? Like, you give them a pass, you can give me a pass too. And so that became sort of my framework back then. And that just kind of gives you like an intro of where my headspace was at when I was like kind of going through this week and reading this and kind of like going through this Bible study and this revelation. As I was going through it, I went back to that time because I was so envious. I was so envious of them, not because they had what they had, but because they had it without even believing in God who gives blessings, right? And so today I wanted to talk about how the enemy blesses us too. Not all blessings comes from God just because it looks good, just because it feels good, just because it has the characteristics of a blessing doesn't mean that it's a blessing from God. So, my first point is that counterfeits work because they look real. Now, I was thinking about this in terms of like counterfeit bags or counterfeit shoes or counterfeit clothes. Now, if you know anything about the African community, we love our little counterfeit Gucci's, we love our counterfeit Louis Vuitton, we love our counterfeit what's that one? Versace. Oh boy, we love the Versace. You see everybody walking around in the Gucci shoes, the Gucci bags. You go to the store, they selling every single type of Gucci bag you ever see. But they're like $100, $200. Now you know they're not real. Come on. You know they're not real. But they look pretty good. They got the tag on it. They got the symbol on it. They got the little Gucci name on it. Everything. It checks out. But counterfeits wouldn't be counterfeits and they wouldn't work. And I put emphasis on work, meaning people buy into it because they look real, right? And a counterfeit isn't obvious, it's convincing. It resembles the real thing very, very closely. It resembles the real thing very, very closely. And that's why it deceives. It wouldn't be deceitful if it looked fake. Nobody would buy it if it looked fake. Even shoes. I've seen Jordans and what's the other shoe? LeBron's. I used to play basketball back in high school, and the basketball shoes. I always used to ask for new basketball shoes. Boy, I used to always ask for these. When I saved up enough, I went and bought me some. But there were these LeBron. I believe they were LeBron. I don't remember, but they were nice. They were nice. And at that time, I knew somebody who was selling shoes, but I didn't know at the time that they were fake until later on. But they were selling shoes. They looked so real. Like you give them a picture of what you want and they would get that shoe and you would pay like $100. But those shoes would cost like maybe almost $300, $400, and you will buy them, and they look. There's nothing that anybody can, unless they scan the little bar. When you scan the barcode, it's not from Jordan. But unless you scan that barcode, everything checks out. Everything checks out. With a counterfeit, everything checks out, or else it wouldn't be deceitful. It wouldn't make people think that it was what it was if it wasn't made to look very closely to the real thing. But the enemy doesn't need you to choose something evil, just something that's almost right. Just almost, maybe missing, it maybe being missed by an inch or a hair. He just needs you to choose something that's close to right, or almost real. Because once you fall for that, why would you need the real thing if this one's good, just good enough, right? This one's just good enough, so why do you need the real thing, right? But something that I realized is that the lie of the serpent in the garden was just truths mixed with deception. In Genesis 3:15 or 3:1-5, I wanted to read that first, and then we'll go to Second Corinthians. But Genesis 3:1-5, it says, "Now the serpent was more cunning than any beast of the field which the Lord had made. And he said to the woman, Has God indeed said, You shall not eat from every tree of the garden? And the woman said to the serpent, We may eat the fruit of the tree of the garden, but of the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, God has said, You shall not eat it, nor shall you touch it, lest you die. Then the serpent said to the woman, You will not surely die, for God knows that in the day you eat of it, your eyes will be opened, and you will be like God, knowing good and evil." So in here, he was almost right. I mean, the serpent was almost right. He was missing the couple of details, but he was almost right, right? He mixed a little bit of the truth. He mixed enough truth in there for it to be believable. That's the thing. You mix enough of the characteristics of a Jordan shoe, enough for it to be believable to the naked eye that see it. They're like, okay, that's a Jordan shoe. That's a Nike. That's a what's the other ones? I'm not really a big shoe head, but that's a Louis Vuitton bag, right? You mix enough truth in there that it becomes deceitful. It's he perverts the truth enough for it to be believable because it's the truth nonetheless. But he mixes just enough truth in there just for it to be believable, right? And so that's the thing about the enemy. In 2 Corinthians 11:14, it tells us that he disguises himself as an angel of light. He disguises himself as an angel of light. Nevertheless, the devil was an angel. That is truth. But he disguises himself as an angel of light, right? And so that's the thing about counterfeits. They have enough truth in it, they have enough real in it that they're almost right. And the devil doesn't want you, he doesn't need you to pick him. He doesn't even need you to pick the bad thing. He just needs you to pick something that's almost right, enough for you to divert from the real thing, right? And that's the trick to getting him to believe that the blessings that you have are from him, from God instead of him. Sometimes the enemy doesn't come to kill, steal, and destroy, but to distract. This one's big because we get so distracted in the things of the world. And then that's the thing that with me too, at that time, I was so distracted with the things that looked good. I was so distracted with the things that looked good that I was willing to compromise to get that because it looked good. And I kept telling myself, it wasn't that I was telling myself like, oh, they're getting these things because they worship something outside of God. I kept telling myself that how come the people who don't even believe in you, God, you're blessing them? Because I believed that those blessings was coming from God and God was just blessing them just for no reason. And so I believed in that diverted truth so much that I was willing to compromise for it, because then I started telling myself, oh, they do bad and they get away with it and they're not dead and they didn't die. And that goes back to the story of Genesis as well, because it said that Eve saw that the fruit was good for food. And then her husband, once he saw that she ate it and she didn't die and she's doing good, God has to be the one that's lying, because she ate it and she's fine. She's chilling. Matter of fact, she even probably feels better and she can see everything. And she hands it to me to eat because clearly it didn't hurt her, it didn't harm her. So I became like Adam and I'm like, they're doing all of these things. They ate from the tree and they're chilling. God, you blessing them, matter of fact. For disobeying you. You're blessing them. You're giving all them all these things. You're giving them abundance when they don't even follow you. They don't even know you. They actually know you and they reject you. But you are blessing them with all these things. And it brought so much envy that I became like Adam. I'm like, okay, I see that it's good for food and I'm going to eat it too. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Open mouth too. I wanted to eat too, right? But not everything that looks like a blessing is from God. Blessings doesn't mean it is necessarily things that are given to you from God. They're just things that are given to you. They could be coming from anywhere. Okay? They could be coming from anywhere. The devil blesses with success, prosperity, money, likes, comments. But we ain't gonna get there. We are not gonna go there. But he blesses. He blesses in ways that our desires want. I could sit in prayer and I pray to God and ask him for a brand new car because mine broke down, right? And I stop believing in him. Or I can pray for a brand new car, and tomorrow a brand new car appears outside. That does not mean that that car that is outside is from God. I can pray and say, God, I wish I had a new phone. My phone it's been doing too much. And somebody drops $300 in my account and says, go buy a new phone. That does not mean that that came from God. Just because I prayed for it doesn't mean it came from God. Because at the end of the day, the devil hears our desires too. He sees our desires. He watches us so closely that he knows what it is that you need at the moment. Take Jesus for example. When he was in the desert, right? When he was in the desert, he was roaming. The devil saw that he was hungry. That's why he offered him something that will fill him because he saw his desire or his fleshly desire. The devil sees what we desire. He notices what we desire. Maybe he sees that you desire a relationship so bad that he gives you a counterfeit one. He can see that. But whole time you've been praying for it for so long, when it actually comes, you think that relationship that came was from God. But it wasn't. That's how the devil gets us, and that's how he deceives us for falling for the almost right instead of waiting for the real thing. But the enemy rarely tries to ruin your life. He tries to redirect your focus. And see, for me, when I used to think about the devil, I used to think, oh yeah, he gonna come and destroy your life. He gonna come and, because they always say that he comes to kill, steal, and destroy. Like, that sounds very scary. That sounds like he over here trying to up and ruin people's lives. But the devil he rarely tries to ruin people's lives. He actually makes it better so that that he actually tries to make your life better so that you will redirect your focus from what's actually real. He tries to make it better in the aspects and characteristics in which you want your life to be better. That way you could think that it's coming from God and you go towards the thing that gave you that rather than what you were actually asking for. Maybe when he sees that you're noticing that God is delaying in what you're asking him for, he starts to give you that himself. He starts to give you that himself. The thing is, the devil he's cunning. That's what the Bible says. He's the most cunning in the whole garden. He was the most cunning. And the thing is, the deception is not just to deceive you just for fun. It's to redirect your focus, because when you're no longer focused on God, you're going to be focused on something else. You're focused on something else. You're no longer focused on the thing that God told you to focus on. And he derails you from your path by giving you blessings that look like what it is that you are asking God for. The enemy doesn't need to destroy your faith, just distract it long enough. If he distracts your faith long enough, your faith won't even be there. If he distracts it long enough, the faith won't even be there. And that's what he wants. Most of the time, he doesn't want you to believe in him, but he wants you to not believe in God. As long as believers and people are leaving the Lord, that's enough for him. He doesn't even need you to follow him. He don't even need you to do bad. He just needs you to not do good or leave your purpose or not walk according to the purpose that God called you. So he distracts you from that purpose, because we have all these desires and we have all these wants and needs that we ask for. If somebody can give you all of those needs, I'd go too. If somebody can give you all the needs and all the desires of your heart, you would go too. But the Bible also says, what does it profit you to gain the world? Means gain everything that you have been asking for. And that's what the devil does. And there's like a saying that people say, especially in the music industry, that you've sold your soul. Because you're receiving everything, yes. Everything you ever ask for, you can receive it, yes. Yeah, just like the people that I was so envious of. Once I started looking at the artists and I'm like, these people living it live. They living it big. And matter of fact, they're known to be Illuminati. They worship something else, but they live in big. I'm like, God, what can you say for your people? The people that follow you diligently, they're getting persecuted, God. Like, they're getting persecuted while the devil is really blessing his people. What's going on? And that's good. Side thought. But they're getting blessed and they're receiving all these things. Matter of fact, they asked for it and it is given. Yeah, you told us that if we ask, we will receive, but we're not receiving. Matter of fact, we're asking and asking and asking, and God is not coming. It's not coming at all. So what's really up? What's really going on? What's really going on? Um, but it says the closer you get to God. I said the closer you get to God, the harder it is to be fooled. And that's a really big key because when you're close enough to God, it's harder to get fooled because the Bible tells us that my sheep will hear my voice. When you're so close to him, you can tell and see the difference between counterfeits and the real thing. And that's where discernment comes in. Because though you're getting all these blessings, though I just received that car I was praying for last night, when I'm close enough to God, God will reveal to me like, hey, that's not for me, man. Watch out. That ain't for me. He gonna let you know. Because he doesn't want his children to be deceived. Of course not. So that discernment, that's why he calls you and draws you so close, because he wants you to be able to discern and see the difference between his work and the devil's work. He wants you to be able to tell the difference and be like, hey, that sign on that Gucci bag is a little crooked. That Gucci belt's a little too yellow for me. That does not look like that's not the real thing. Something's off about that. Something's off about that blessing. Something's off about this. Something's off about that. That came a little too fast. Because the difference between God's blessings and the devil's blessing is that oftentimes God's blessings come with like it comes with a progress, or not progress, not English, Jesus. God's blessings come with a process, my bad. It comes with a process. It comes with there's procedures that need to be done. Whereas the devil, you ask him, he gonna give it to you. Because he's a people pleaser. At the end of the day, we know that, right? He's a people pleaser. He wants you to be pleased, and he wants you to be pleased because he knows that touches you. Like, dang, wow, you really care about me for real. You ask for it, you will receive. But the thing about God's blessings, they take time. They take time. His blessings and promises take time. But at the end of the day, they will come and they will be real. But there is a process to God's blessings. There's a process to God's blessings. That's why when you ask for it, he tells you to wait. Whereas for the devil, you ask for it, he's going to give it to you right away. But it ain't real, though. He distracts you. But to the naked eye, it looks very real. It looks very, very real. You couldn't even tell the difference. For real. Right? One way to tell if the blessing is from God or from the devil is that the enemy's blessings often come with compromise. The enemy's blessings often comes with compromise. And that goes back to the thing that I was saying about when we hear all the time that you've sold your soul. And we go back to that verse that what is it gain? What do you gain? To receive the whole, what do you profit? What does a man profit to receive the whole world, to gain the whole world, to gain all your desires, gain all these things, but lose your soul? Because truly, at the end of the day, when you're receiving these things little by little by little, you're slowly selling your soul. Because at first, when the devil gives you something, when the enemy blesses you with something, it comes with just a little bit of compromise, so small that you don't even notice you're compromising for it. It's so small, it's like a speck of dirt that you don't even realize that it's actually compromised. And that's the thing. He kind of rolls it in there with the with a blessing that you don't see it and you don't see it. And then slowly and the more it gives you, the compromise becomes bigger and bigger and bigger. And then you are slowly compromising for these blessings to continue to come. You slowly compromise in the blessing. Not even just for the blessing, but in the blessing, you're compromising. Not only that, even your character could be compromised during the blessing. You're like, oh, now you're getting greedy. Now you don't even you're not even humble anymore. You have no humility. Maybe you're starting to boast in the blessings that you've received, and that all of that is compromise. All of that, you're compromising your soul for the things that you're receiving. You're compromising your soul for these quote unquote blessings that you're receiving. It often and almost every single time comes with compromise, even if you can't see it. Even if you can't see it, it comes with compromise. And the thing is that the devil's blessings, they appeal to the flesh. That's a lot of the devil's blessings, they appeal to the flesh. They're all the things that you could receive for the flesh, like money, prosperity, success, um, relationships that don't benefit you, um, friendships to stay together that don't benefit you, the new shoes, the business that you've been praying for that God didn't send you to do. Yup. That thing that you want to start that God didn't send you to do. But then it starts working out and you're like, God, it gotta be you that's making it work out. But it's truly not, right? It's truly not. You go out and you start seeking this thing that God didn't send you to go and do, and it starts working out because the devil wants you to be like, "Oh yeah, this is from God." But that's where deception comes in, because these things that we're receiving that didn't necessarily come from God, they look so real. They seem so real. They seem like a blessing, like something that could really edify me or progress my life or profit my life or something that I could profit from. But it's not. You start to see that it's not profiting your spirit. It's not profiting or edifying your spirit. They usually appeal to the flesh. There are things that your flesh will profit from. But blessings from God, they always appeal to your spirit. They always appeal to your spirit and not your flesh. Sometimes your flesh, like both, but they will always appeal to your spirit. You could ask for a certain thing. Like there's a verse in, I believe, Matthew, where it says that He will give you the desires, that He will give you delight in the Lord. Not in Matthew. I believe it's in Psalms. That was the verse of the day. Of the week? What was it? I know it says delight in the Lord, and He will give you the desires of your heart, right? And the first thing that it says is that delight in the Lord, right? And we were talking about this in our Bible study, and one of our brothers in Christ said, he said, a lot of people, when we read this verse, we see the giving you the desires of your heart before we see the delight in the Lord, because the verse is two parts. It says delight in the Lord, and is a divider. It says, delight in the Lord, and He will give you the desires of your heart. Therefore, you won't receive the desires of your heart if you don't delight in the Lord. It's a two-part thing. You can't have one without the other. And so a lot of us, we forget the first part of the verse. And He was saying we forget the first part of the verse, and we want to receive the desires. We want to receive the desires of our hearts. We want God, bless me, bless me, bless me. But He said delight in Him first. And the thing is, He wants you to do that first, because once you delight in Him, your desires will start to look like Him. Your desires will be transformed to His will, because you're delighting in Him so much that your desires that you once came in with is not the same. The way we used to desire money and success and likes and comments and prosperity, we won't be desiring anything of the flesh anymore, because when you delight in Him so much, you want to edify your spirit before you edify your flesh. So when you're delighting in the Lord, your desires start to be transformed to Him and to His will and to His likeness and to His image. So therefore, He wants you to delight in Him so much so that your desires don't look like the world anymore. Your desires don't look like the way they did when you came to Him. So He wants you to do step one before you try to get step two. A lot of us, we skip to step two, and that's why we get all the counterfeits of step two. That's why we receive all the fakes of step two. We receive the fake Gucci bags and fake Louis Vuittons and Versace's. That's what we're receiving because we forgot to do part one. We forgot to do part one. We forgot to delight in the Lord. And that's why we're receiving all the desires that don't look like Him. We're receiving all these desires and we're just like, oh, wow, God has blessed me so much. But we forget that the enemy blesses too. The enemy blesses too. And that's why he gets to deceiving us, because he made it look so real that we started to believe it, that we started to divert our focus from the real thing. Anyways, so I wanted to touch on the story of Jesus when he was tempted in the wilderness, which is in Luke chapter 4 verses 3 to 8. Luke chapter 4 verses 3 to 8. Luke chapter 4 verses 3 to 8. If we read, and it says, "And the devil said to him, 'If you are the Son of God, command this stone to become bread.' But Jesus answered, saying, 'It is written, man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word of God.' And the devil, taking him up on the high mountain, showed him all the kingdoms of the world in a moment of time. And the devil said to him, 'All this authority I will give you, and their glory, for this has been delivered to me, and I give it to whomever I wish. Therefore, if you will worship me, all will be yours.' And Jesus answered to him, saying, 'Get behind me, Satan, for it is written, you shall worship the Lord your God, and him only you shall serve.' Then he brought him to Jerusalem, set him on the pinnacle of the temple, and said to him, 'If you are the Son of God, throw yourself down from here, for it is written, he shall give his angels charge over you to keep you, and in their hands they shall bear you up, lest you dash your foot against a stone.' And then Jesus answered and said to him, 'It has been written, it has been said, you shall not tempt the Lord your God.' Now, when the devil had ended every temptation, he departed from him until an opportune time." Amen. Now, the devil offered Jesus the kingdom, but without the cross. The devil offered Jesus the kingdom without the cross. And that sounds good. It really does. And you know why it sounds good? Because that's exactly what Jesus prayed for later on in Gethsemane. So we know that he wasn't just offering him something that he didn't want. He was offering him something that he actually desired, because we saw that later on in Gethsemane, that we read. I think we read that 2 weeks ago, actually. In Gethsemane, we saw that Jesus prayed for the cup to pass from him. That if there's a way to get to the result of this without the cross, Lord, if there's a way, make it happen. And the Lord prayed this 3 times. So we know that of course, it sounds good. And the devil wanted to give it to him even in the beginning of his ministry. Before his ministry even began, the devil offered this to him. He offered him, "I will give you all of this. I will give you the power and authority on earth, all of it. I'll give it to you if you bow down to me. I'll give it to you." And mind you, the devil wasn't completely lying. Okay? He wasn't completely lying. He was mixing a bit of truth, because the kingdom was his. The earthly kingdom was his at the time, because Jesus hadn't defeated death and sin yet. So the ruler of the world was the devil. So and he said, "It has been given unto me," and it has been. So at that time he wasn't lying, because if he was lying, then maybe Jesus would have mocked him or laughed at him, because why are you saying that? Now you know I'm the Son of God. And he knew that he was the Son of God. So he knew that Jesus knew. So it's not like he was telling him any lies. He was giving him the promise of the kingdom, which means he was appealing to his fleshly desire. The flesh, the man Jesus, of course, desired to get through his purpose without going to the cross. That would be it. It sounds good. It sounds good. Imagine accomplishing everything Jesus accomplished without having to go to the cross. That sounds real good. Right? So we see that the devil offers Jesus the kingdom without the cross, which he prays for in Gethsemane. Which he prayed for in Gethsemane, but the thing is that came with compromise. He wouldn't be able to get that if he didn't bow down and worship the devil. which means even in that blessing that the devil was trying to give him, it drew him away from God. And if it draws you away from God, then it's not from God. It can't be from God. It can't be from God, because God would never draw you away from himself. God would never draw you away from himself. But we see here that what the enemy offers is less than what God had for him. Because the enemy offered him this kingdom, the earthly kingdom, which is all that he could offer, right? He offered him everything on this world that he could ask for. He offered it to him. He offered him the kingdom, the authority, the power on earth. But we saw later on, there's a verse, I'll mark it down below, that says that Jesus now has the power and authority on earth and in heaven. So then what God had in store was nothing. I mean, what the devil was offering him was nothing compared to what God had for him. And that's the thing, that if the devil was able to distract him from, if he was able to get him to say yes to this little thing that looked so major, because at that time Jesus's desire, his fleshly desire, wanted to get through everything without the cross, because the cross it's it's hard. It was hard. We saw it. We saw how the cross was. And so if Jesus could have done it without it, we saw that the devil said, "Oh, I'll give you all the glory and authority right now and of the earth," right? So that sounds good. But if the devil would if Jesus would have heeded to that, if he would have taken that offer, he would have only got a part, not even partial, but a quarter of what God had in store for him. For what God had in store for him. And the devil knew that, so he offered a counterfeit that would only profit him the flesh. That would only profit him the flesh. And he would miss out on everything else that he was supposed to inherit. The kingdom of earth and heaven. And heaven. That was only a portion of what God had in store for him. So whenever the devil really tries to give us counterfeits, it looks good in the moment, but what God has in store for you is 10 times better. And so he makes it look so good that it appeals to your flesh right now, rather than appealing to your spirit, what your spirit will profit in the future with God. Right. And so he's just playing this this little game with you, because he's like, I know you want it right now. I know this is what you're asking for. So here, take it. Why don't you take it? Why don't you take it? Take this blessing. It's a good thing. Anyways, but if it pulls you away from God, then it's not from God. If it blocks conviction, it's not from God. If you realize that you don't even realize, if you realize and start to notice that you don't even feel conviction in this in anything, and if you start I guess losing a sense of conviction, like you've received this blessing but you can't even tell where the blessing is from, or even when you can tell, you block away the conviction. You're like, you're feeling this little inkling, but you're like, that's nothing, right? It starts to block your conviction a little bit. It's like you're not even feeling anything in it anymore. Like, let's say that you get this counterfeit relationship, you don't feel no type of conviction when you're doing wrong in the relationship. You just think that, oh, this person's a man of God, and he's a good man, Savannah. He's a good man. And you just like, this gotta be from God. It's gotta be from God. So much so that you're even blocking out the conviction. You don't even have any discernment on it. And it's blocking our sixth sense, which is discernment. It's blocking our sixth sense of discernment that comes from God, because we're so into this deception, we're so into this counterfeit that we can't even see clear anymore. That's what, let's say you got on rose-colored glasses. You got on rose-colored glasses that you can't even see it anymore. You can't even see it anymore. You can't even tell what's real from fake anymore. That Gucci bag is not real, baby. It's not real. Um, but Jesus, if the devil couldn't actually give Jesus what he was promising him, then it wouldn't be a counterfeit. He would just be a liar. But the thing is, if somebody's just a liar with no truth behind him, you wouldn't believe him. Why would you believe somebody that just told a whole bunch of lies? The lie has to have some truth in it. So the devil gave, as we saw, he was lying, but he was telling the truth with it. Just as we saw in Genesis, he gave her the truth and then mixed it with a little bit of lies. That's why the fruit looked good for food. Her perception of the fruit started to look a little different. It started to feel a little different. Even her husband, he saw, he was like, "Oh, she didn't die." His perception of the fruit started to look a little different. So if the devil was able to sell you something that's counterfeit, your perception of that counterfeit would start to look a little different as well. It will start to look a little different. It will start to look good. Like back like when I started and I was telling you the story, when I was saying like I look at it and I'm like, dang, that I start to have a different outlook on it. To where I would look at it and I'm like, oh, these people are doing all this bad stuff. But then my perception started to change so much. I'm looking at it and I'm like, oh, but they're fine. They're doing all this bad stuff and they fine. They're not living the life of God, but they fine. And matter of fact, not only are they just fine, they're getting blessed. They're getting blessed upon blessing upon blessing upon blessing. But we know that even in the Bible, where there's a verse that tells us in John 14:27, it says that peace, he says, "This peace I give unto you, not as the world gives you, but as I give you," which means the world also gives peace. The world also has its own blessings that come with it. The world has its counterfeit peace that it gives. But Jesus said, "This peace I give unto you, not as the world gives you." Because the world will give you peace too. The world will give you blessings too. The world will give you blessing and all of these things. Ooh, and it sounds so sweet. It's sweet. The ginger your tea. Like it starts to make you feel good inside. Like, wow, this thing's is sweet. It's nice. But Jesus literally tells us that there is a peace that I give, and there's a peace that the world gives. There's a peace that the world gives. So it's like we have to be so discerning of these things, because there are so many counterfeits in this world. Because the thing is, we know that the desire from the devil to begin with wasn't to overpower God. It wasn't to become better than God. It wasn't to become higher or have more rule than God. It was to become like God. His desire was to become like God. The Bible tells us that he wanted to be like God, which means he wants to give you everything that God gives. He counterfeits it, everything. He wants to make it look like God, make it look like it's coming from God. Every single thing that he gives you, of course, is going to look good. It's going to look good because that's what you want. So he's going to give you something that looks real good, very tasteful. Very tasteful, to the point where it switches your perspective on how you see things. That it blocks your conviction, it blocks your discernment, and you won't even be able to tell the right from wrong, or what's good and bad, or what's good and bad. Um, but I just wanted to leave us with this encouragement to really ask God for discernment. Ask God for discernment, because the only way we could tell the difference between a real thing and a counterfeit is discernment. Is a discerning eye. People who know bags will be able to tell what's a real bag or a fake bag. You know what I'm saying? The people who study, and not just discernment, but ask God for closeness with him. Because people who study Louis Vuitton bags will know the difference between a real Louis Vuitton bag and a fake Louis Vuitton bag. People who study and are big shoe, there's no way that I have a friend that's such a big shoe head. Is that what they call them? Sneaker head. Boy, I could never put on some fake shoes and go before her. Ain't no way. Because she knows her shoes so well that she'll be like, "Why you got them on? The sign's crooked. Why would you, come on, let me scan that real quick. Somebody sold you something fake." If you study and you know your shoes good enough, you will be able to tell whether it's a fake shoe or a good shoe. And I say that to say, if you study God enough, if you get close enough to God, you will be able to tell his voice, tell his product, tell his blessing apart from the devil's blessing, because you know it so well that you can tell when the sign is off. You can tell when the shoelace's color is off. You could tell when the Louis don't even say Louis, it says Louis. Ha! You could tell, like the Versace don't even have the CS in it. Like you could tell the difference, and the way that the knockoff is fake. You'll be able to discern that and see that because you study Louis Vuitton bags so bad. You could tell when the gold is off. You could tell when the gold is off. But that's just my very big encouragement from this gap, right? It's just to encourage us to ask God for discernment and ask God to just draw us closer to him. Because if we know him enough, we can tell when a blessing is from him or from the devil. We can tell and discern whether it's God blessing us or whether it's the enemy blessing us. Because we can't be blinded to the fact that some blessings are not, they don't come from God. It comes from the devil to distract us. To distract us from everything that God wants to give us. He doesn't just come to kill, steal, and destroy by ruining your life. He comes to kill, steal, and destroy by making you hold on to the fake things so you can't receive the real ones. Truly, 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 we have to be aware of that, and we have to really open our eyes to that, because God is trying to warn us. And my people perish for the lack of knowledge. If you don't know him enough, you will perish by the deception of the devil. You will perish by the counterfeits that you keep receiving because you're not aware enough. You don't have enough knowledge to be able to tell what's from God and what's not. And truly that comes from just being in your word. Just draw closer to God and get to know him more. If you know him enough and know him more, you will be able to tell what's from him and what's not. At least better than how you were yesterday. And that's really all that matters. Get closer to him today than you were yesterday, and tomorrow than you are today. And that's truly our main goal. That should be our main goal in life, is to be closer to him tomorrow than we are today. Truly. Be closer to him today than we were yesterday. But that leads me to our Selah question of the day. Yay. So our Selah question of the day is this thing from God, or is it just convenient? And is it pulling me away from God? Is it causing me to compromise? Is this thing that I've so been asking for so much and have received, whether that is a friendship, a relationship, that's the biggest one, a relationship, friendship, success, prosperity, whatever it is it from God, or is it something that's convenient because I asked for it and it's actually pulling me away from God? So much so that I don't even see the compromise in it. Is this thing that I've received causing me to compromise from God? Compromise from the things that is it causing you to compromise certain things from for God? And is it causing you to pull away from God, and the things that you used to do for God you don't even do anymore because you've received this thing? It's made you busy, it's made you busier, more whatever. Sometimes I tell people, sometimes it's okay to go jobless. I'm not gonna lie. I had this one job that made me so busy that I wasn't even able to go to church for months. I wasn't even able to be in my word for months on end. And I'm telling you, even if you have to go broke, God is a provider. God is a provider. God is a provider. The thing is, some counterfeits causes us to be so busy and move around so much, and that's why God calls us to stillness. Because it makes us move. The counterfeit makes us move around so much that we are too distracted to have discernment, too distracted to be able to tell right from wrong. And that's his job. Because when we're still, we're able to hear God. When we're still, we're able to discern the things that God wants us to move. When we're still, we're able to see God's plan for us and see his will that he wants for our lives. But if you're too busy with that job, you're too busy with that relationship, you're too busy with that friendship that's not benefiting you anything, you're gonna miss it. And that's what the devil wants. He just wants you to be distracted long enough that you miss it. He wants you to be distracted long enough that you don't see it. And so truly ask yourself and ask God, God, is this thing just convenient? Do I think that this thing is from you just because it came on an opportune time? Because it says here that the devil went away from him until an opportune time. Did it just come in time? Did it just come at a very convenient time that I thought it was from you because I prayed about it? Like, ask God for discernment. Like, God, is this thing causing me to compromise for you? Or from you? How do you say that? Is this thing causing me to compromise the things of you? Is it causing me to compromise my faith? Is it causing me to compromise my dignity, my obedience? Is it causing me to compromise my integrity? Is it causing me to compromise my character and my fruits? If it's causing you to compromise anything that you receive from God, then it's not from God. God will never pull you away from him, ever. But anyways, that's enough said for me. I just wanted to close us out with that big encouragement, that Selah question, just for us to sit and ponder with this and really be able to open up our eyes to the things that are not coming from God, guys. Because truly we get sucked into this world, and it's okay. Sometimes it'd be hard sometimes, right? But that's why we need the strength of the Lord. That's why we need discernment from God. That's why we need spiritual eyes to be able to see the things that are from God and see the things that are not. Because blessings don't just mean that they're blessings from God. Blessings can come from the devil too. Just because you hear blessed and you think directly God, it doesn't mean that it's coming from God. But anyways, with that being said, I wanted to thank everyone that was able to come, everyone that was able to tune in, anyone that clicked on the link, however you got here. I just want to thank you for being able to sit here and ponder with me, reflect with me, and just be able to talk to me, y'all. Cause y'all know I like talking, and I feel like I'm talking to every single person that's behind this camera right now. So, anyways, I thank you all for coming in. Again, I'm going to encourage everyone to like, comment, subscribe, share, press the ring or press the subscribe button. Make sure you receive all the new episodes as they go on, and be able to go back to old episodes and be able to just like rewatch them, and just it's never a bad thing to rewatch things and see maybe you missed something. That's what I do with the Bible. I just be rereading things. But yeah, I thank you all for joining. I thank you all for coming in today and listening to this yap session, y'all. But anyways, I love you guys, but God loves you more. Bye.